Chapter 16. A Bowl of Bologna. I came home with a pile of pictures taken with my new camera and start the, quote, wall of the left behind in my bedroom. I put up the picture of the abandoned house in my neighborhood, then the picture of towels on benches, deserted cars, and lost jackets. A sneaker, a baby stroller, and a t-shirt. I'm surprised how many things people leave behind. I wonder if they miss them later. The house is filled with smoke when I come downstairs, which means Grammy is making fried bologna for dinner. Turns out, when you fry a piece of bologna in butter, it goes from a flat piece to a bowl shape. Grammy never gets tired of it. She thinks it's some kind of miracle. Then she fills hers with mustard, lots and lots of bright yellow mustard. Ronan is coming over for dinner, and I wonder what he'll think of this. He arrives just in time. He has a Portuguese tart from his dad's favorite bakery to share with us. Grammy is so excited you'd think she'd won the showcase showdown. We sit right away. Grammy leans over and pats Ronan on the shoulder. Well, Ronan, thank you for coming over to share our meal with us. It isn't fancy, but it's a favorite around here. That's okay, he says. I'm not that fancy, in case you didn't notice. Grammy laughs loud as she scoops a heaping glob of yellow mustard into her bologna bowl, then another blob and another. Ronan watches, but doesn't seem to react. Then he scoops out a blob of mustard, and another, and then unscrews the top of the pepper and pours some of that on top. It's almost like they're competing to see whose mouth will catch on fire first. I wonder if we have a fire extinguisher. Ronan eats more fried bologna than is natural. He eats it up like it's the best thing ever, and I wonder what his father makes for dinner. After Grammy and Ronan finish off the jar of mustard, I stand to clear the dishes, and Ronan gets up to help. You're a fine guest to help out like that, Ronan, Grammy says. Your parents have done a fine job. I think he means to say thanks, but it almost seems like he doesn't know how. When Ronan asks for a dish towel to dry the dishes, Grammy laughs. No need for that now. We let God to dry the dishes here. She lumbers toward the TV. Well, she says, it's time for some family feud. Seems like a funny thing to wish for, Ronan says. You're a funny one, you know that? She settles into her couch and turns to Ronan again. Your dad must be waiting on you. You need to head home soon? Nay, he says, and he turns to me. Want to play Monopoly? Our first game took about 4 hours. So, you won, didn't you? I mean, barely, but you won. Barely? I don't think so. I wiped the board with you. He smirks. Yeah, whatever. You want to play or not? We set up the homemade Monopoly game that my mother made out of the paper when she was my age. The board is the real one that she found at a tag sale with Grammy for only 5 cents, so she decided to take it and make the rest, the cards, the money, and the deeds. Everything but the tokens. We use old coins that Papa found us on the beach with his metal detector for those. I choose the buffalo nickel. Ronan chooses the bicentennial silver dollar. Whenever I use this game, I think about what it would have been like to play it with my mother. I bet we would have been friends if we were the same age. Ronan gets lucky, getting all the yellows and greens pretty fast. But I end up with a bunch of the cheaper properties, so we trade money back and forth. The game lasts forever. When we're finally done, Grammy is asleep on the couch. I shake her shoulder a little bit. Grammy, wake up. She moans and opens her eyes, looks about, and gets her bearings. Oh, I fell asleep. What time is it? Midnight. Ronan needs a ride home, or should he walk? Oh, no, I fell asleep. His father must be worried sick. Did you call him? Yeah, I did, Ronan lies. He says it's okay. I look at him, but he won't look back. Grammy stands up. Well, I'll freshen up a bit, and then we'll go. You two wait outside, but don't go disappearing on me. We head outside. So I ask, why'd you tell Grammy you called your dad? He puts his hands in his pockets and walks in a small circle. I don't know. I know he does. I didn't want your Grammy to worry or be mad at me, and it makes no difference if I call my father or not. I can walk in at any time. Having no curfew sounds good. And then I begin to wonder if that's true. Chapter 17, Escape from the Cakes. I've just let Ronan in when Grammy calls from the kitchen. Dulce, honey bunch, I've got some chicken legs that are past due if you want 'em. Really? Excellent. Ronan looks at me like I've lost my mind. Why the heck would anyone want old chicken? I shake my head. The things you don't know about living on the Cape. Well, if it involves old chicken legs, I think I can wait. You'll see, I say. You're going to love it. Oh, yeah. Nothing like rotten meat to improve the day. When we arrive at Gray's Beach, I open my bag. and pull out the chicken, some string, and scissors. Here, I say, handing him the scissors. We need long pieces of string. He cuts the string, glancing at me. As I tie the string tightly around the chicken leg, Ronan looks over the side of the boardwalk. So we're here to catch stuff? Blue crabs. I see one, he yells as he points, and another one. He glances at me, glowing. They're everywhere. I give him a chicken leg, and I take one. We lower the chicken legs over the side and into the water. Mine lies on the bottom, but Ronan's is hanging in a deeper spot. I lean over. It has to sit on the bottom somewhere so the crabs can get to it. He looks over at mine and smiles. The crabs are running from all directions and climbing onto my chicken leg. Pull it up, Ronan says, leaning over the railing. Okay, here's the thing, I say. Once they're eating, you have to pull them up smoothly but really fast before they fall off because they do let go. You ready? Yeah, he steps up another rung on the railing. Hand over hand, just like pulling in nets on the reel. I pull up my string. 2 feet over the water, a crab lets go, then another. When the chicken reaches the railing, I have 4 crabs left. I lift the string over the railing and drop the chicken into the pail. I knock the crabs off with my hand and pull the chicken out for another round. Bending over, I say, wow, one of them is huge. Usually, you can't catch those. Henry says it's a Darwin thing. They're big because they've figured out how to survive. Like, if you're suddenly being lifted into the air, let go. Ronan reaches into the pail and pulls out the big one. We should name him Zeus. Yeah, it's in the drawer. You can't name things that we are taking home to eat. Eat? Who wants to eat this? He looks like a mini alien. The crab pinches his finger. Ow! He yells, dropping the crab on the boardwalk. It must have heard you. The crab moves sideways, running from the edge, but hits Ronan's foot. He jumps into the air and falls down flat. I pick it up from the back so its claws can't reach my hand. It grabs a hold of the edge of the plank, but I pull it off. How'd you do that? He asks. I turn my hand and show him. They can't reach you, well, most of the time. Sometimes a big, smart one will figure it out and reach under themselves and get ya. Just then I get pinched and drop the crab, which makes another run for it. Ronan laughs hard. Really? I ask, going for the crab again. You're laughing at me? You're still lying on the deck after being taken down by something the size of a pancake? Ronan stands. I wasn't taken down. I was just resting. Then he reaches out to take the crab from me. He turns the crab towards his own face, looks it in the eye, and smiles. He bubbles. Yeah, they do that to keep oxygen moving through their gills, I tell him. Now, put it back in the bucket. Grammy will make some great crab cakes out of it, with extra tartar sauce. You'll love them. He looks at me. Really? She'll make crab cakes? Yeah, she sure will. He stares down at the crab, and then he lifts the crab and holds it about 6 inches from his face. He doesn't look tasty. Huh. Wait till you see him with buttered breadcrumbs. His mouth swings to the side a bit. That's fine. Go put it back. Good. Go put it back in the fridge. Uh-huh. His mouth swings to the side a bit, then he looks the bubbling crab in the eye and says, I dub you with the name Darwin, and now you owe me one, Darwin. He winds up his arm and throws the crab well beyond the reach of the chicken on string. Lands with a splash in the marsh. He tries to hide his smile, but doesn't do a great job of it. Wait, what? Why would you do that? He shrugs and smiles bigger. Sorry, he was beautiful and was just such a good fighter. I just had to let him go. It's okay. That was better than eating crab cakes any day, I say, thinking about how much Papa Joseph would have liked him. He would have said Ronan's a good soul, and I would have to agree. Chapter 18, Who Watches You While You Eat a Sandwich? I'm so happy when Brandy calls me to ask if I want to come for lunch, that I have to keep myself from cartwheeling into a wall. But with every bubble of happiness that rises inside, the little voice taps me on the shoulder. When I arrive at Seaside, I run into Ronan. Hey, he says. I see Brandy and Tressa sitting down near the water at the picnic table already. Hey, I say, how are you doing? He looks back over his shoulder. Better than you, I think. What do you mean by that? He shrugs. Nothing. He pulls some gum out of his pocket. You want some? No, thanks. I'm going to have lunch with Brandy and Tressa. Why? Because they asked. And they're my friends. They are? I look past him again. Tressa is looking in my direction, smiling. Yeah, they are. Hey, he says. I'd love to eat with a couple of bull sharks, or maybe they're more like oceanic white-tip sharks. Haven't decided yet. He looks up thinking, I don't know. I guess Brandy would be a bull shark. They can go back and forth between saltwater and freshwater. They're not that bad, I say, getting annoyed. Not that bad is not something you find in the Traits of a Friend handbook. He pops a piece of gum into his mouth. Suit yourself. I just think that there's more to having friends than sitting around a table and letting them watch you eat a sandwich. I open my mouth to shoot back an answer, but nothing comes out. He tucks the foil wrapper in his pocket. Just saying, he shrugs. Well, see ya. I watch Ronan walk away for longer than I should, not so eager for lunch anymore. Hey, I say, approaching the picnic table, noticing my feet feel like bricks. Hey, Brandy says, and moves over to make room. Tressa smiles like a cat watching a mouse ease out of its hole. Thanks for inviting me. Her mother made her, Tressa said. Brandy turns red. They begin to unpack their lunches, which are both in the same cooler with a sea turtle on it. I look down at my brown paper bag. I pull out my root beer and pop it open. As I look at their fancy chicken wraps, I decide I don't feel like eating a fried bologna sandwich in front of these two. That was a blast last night, Tressa says. Watching the fireworks from the beach was the best. Yeah, it was pretty cool, Brandy says. Every town does theirs on different nights all summer long, so you can always find them somewhere. Tressa turns to me. Did you see them? Oh, yeah, of course we did. Thinking that answering Tressa's questions feels like when the school nurse went through my hair looking for lice in the first grade. Brandy stares. She knows we don't do stuff like that. And then, Tressa continues, we went to that fire pit pizza place out on the beach. So cool. Have you been there? She asks. I hate pizza. Probably the only kid in the world, but I've never liked it. Brandy knows this, and yet I can't help myself. I look at Tressa. Yeah, who doesn't love that place? We go there all the time. Now, Brandy's head falls to the side, and she gives me a funny look. But the coolest thing was the sleepover, Tressa adds. I can't believe we stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning watching that movie. Your mom is cool. What movie? I ask. Brandy begins to answer, but Tressa cuts in like my question is inconvenient. Big. It's an old movie about a kid that wishes to be a grown-up and gets his wish from some fortune-teller machine. It was pretty good. I saw a good movie on TV. It was about this girl who, Tressa interrupts, holding up her hand like she's stopping traffic. Could you go get some more napkins inside, please? I catch Brandy stifling a laugh. I don't get the napkins, as I'm ordered to do, because it would be humiliating. Then again, staying is humiliating too. They talk about other things they've been doing, things without me. I try to join in one more time, but Tressa talks over me until I give up. When I stand and say I have to go, they finally get quiet. As I walk away, my stomach feels awful, which is weird because I didn't even eat anything. The bubble of happiness I had for this lunch pops like bubbles do, instantly and completely. Chapter 19. Is that you? Let's play tourist today, I say to Ronan. Have you been to Holiday Hill yet? That place with the golf and stuff, Ronan asks. I nod. I wanted to go, but my dad says he's tired at night. Why? Do you have money? Yeah, I do. When I help Grammy clean rooms, she splits the tip with me. And I also have a bunch of free game coupons we found in a room after the people left, so between the two, we should be good. I don't have any money, though. That's okay. It'll be worth it to kick your butt at golf. You think so, huh? You're a dreamer, Dulcie, a dreamer. We run across Route 28 and straight into the arcade to pay for mini golf. I choose the blue golf ball and Ronan chooses the green. On the third hole, I make a hole-in-one and brag more than I should. I'm happy that I'm doing well at golf, but I'm mostly happy that I don't feel nervous to be around Ronan. I don't have to think about everything I say and do and then worry he won't like it. I don't have to lie about who I am. On the fifth hole, Ronan is leaping around singing some song about being the champion. He must have made it up because it's terrible. It's only the fifth hole. You haven't won yet, and I'm actually ahead of you. I envision myself accepting the trophy. I will be, and he goes on, but I don't hear a thing. All I can see is a woman with 2 kids who are much younger than me. Her hair is frizzy and looks just like the kind of hair that gets reddish in the summer, just like mine. And she has a cleft chin and blue eyes, just like me. She looks like the woman in my old candy frame, as if she stepped out of it and into the world. It looks just like her, just like her. I stuff my hands in my pockets and straighten my back. Ronan is in front of me. I'm sorry about bragging so much. It's okay, Dulcie. I'll spot you some points. I shake my head. No, it's okay. I would never get mad about mini golf. I look around him. It's that lady, I swallow. I think she's my mom. Ronan turns and looks at her. You think so? Are those her kids? I don't know. We haven't heard from her in a long, long time. I mean, I guess they could be her kids. But you don't know that she's your mom, right? Just a guess? I feel like she is. She looks just like her picture, and the words catch in my throat. She looks just like me. I swallow again hard. Should I go talk to her? Sure, because if you don't, you'll regret it. Ronan is good at just cutting to the truth. Looking down at my golf ball, I get an idea. I toss the ball into the bushes near her, and then I run over. And standing in front of her makes my stomach roll over and over. I lock eyes with her and watch to see if she recognizes me. How could someone not recognize her own baby? Hello, she says. Hi. Oh, sorry. I just came to get my ball. I bend over and reach into the bushes to get it, and when I stand back up, I lock eyes with her again, hoping for an answer in her face. May I help you? Do you need something? She asks, and the sound of her voice is like Esme's, all sweet and let me help you. I look at her kids and wonder if I have two sisters. Are you my mom? I ask. One eye squints. Pardon me? Are you my mama? Is it you? I squeak like a little kid. Her lips press together and her eyes get sad and she shakes her head a bit. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm not your mama. I have these two girls, but I haven't had any other children besides them. By this time, her two girls are staring at me like I'm trying to steal their favorite thing. Are you sure? I asked, starting to cry, because you look just like the picture and you look just like me. Or I look just like you. Or so I thought that maybe. I thought you could be. I'm not really. I'm very sorry. But whoever is your mom, she's very lucky. Very lucky, I mumble. Very lucky. I drop my golf club and run. I run so fast that Ronan hasn't had a chance of catching me. I find myself standing in front of Amy's because it's Saturday. I'm sure she has no rehearsal. I knock on the door. Amy swings the door open. Hey, Dels. Then she gets serious. Wow, you look like you need water. Do you want water? I nod furiously. Come on in. No, I have to talk to you outside. She looks worried. Okay. When she comes back out with my water, I stop thinking about how to say it and just start talking. You know how at every open house at school, when the teacher meets your mom, they tell her, oh, your daughter looks just like you. She's your mini-me. And you smile because your mom's pretty great? Yeah. And you know how every spring you complain because you have to wear a dress and go to the father-daughter dance, but you always have fun? Yeah. You know how you wanted to know what it's like to be an orphan for real? I'm sorry, Dels. I shouldn't have asked that. I was just so excited. It's okay, Ames. I'm not mad at you. I just didn't know how to answer, that's all. But that's the answer. Never in my life will I go to a father-daughter dance, and no one will ever call me their daughter, and I'll never get to call anyone mom. That's what it's like. My hands curl into fists, and my voice cracks. I feel the anger hit me like a giant swell in the water. I try to hold it all, but I think I'm terrible. I think I'm doing a terrible job of it. Even so, Amy stands shoulder to shoulder with me. Gee, Dels, that Tomorrow song probably doesn't cut it, huh? The sun will come out tomorrow and bet your bottom dollar and all that. It's terrible, isn't it? I mean, really terrible. And we laugh, and it makes me feel so much better. Chapter 20, Seeds That Grow and Seeds That Don't. I talk to Ronan on the phone and tell him I'm okay. He says he can come over for a Monopoly game, but I say maybe tomorrow. Instead, I share popcorn with Grammy on the couch and watch the Game Show Network. We like seeing happy people win things. It's raining the next morning, and when I wake, I stay in bed and try to hold on to a dream I had of Papa Joseph. We were out searching for old coins with his metal detector. One of our favorite things to do after a storm was to head to the beach to see what we could find because a hard rain helps the metal detector pick up signals. We'd see other detectors down there, but Papa knew that searching along the walls after a storm was a good way to find things. We found lots of coins, mostly new money, but also some buffalo nickels and a silver dollar from the bicentennial. Papa also loved to go to wooded areas around Concord and Lexington. We found some pieces of metal that could have been musket balls from the Revolutionary War. He was so excited, but he wouldn't take them to a dealer. I think he was afraid he'd find out they weren't anything, and he'd rather just keep them and hope. Out in those fields, he used to talk about finding the mother lode, though, a mason jar of old money. Before the banks were reliable, people used to stuff their belongings in jars and bury them in the yard, a way to keep locations of valuables secret. In the kitchen, I pour Cheerios into a bowl, remembering how Papa told me they were donut seeds. What a dumb kid I must have been to spend hours burying them around our yard, waiting for them to sprout. Grammy shuffles into the kitchen. Morning, Delcy girl. How about some crooks and nannies? Sure, I laugh. The English muffin box says they have nooks and crannies, but crooks and nannies is one of our favorite jokes. I tell her about my dream. She shakes her head. Oh, that silly metal detector of his naming it Homer and talking like it was a family member. Should we take Homer to the beach with us? Maybe Homer would like to go for a ride. You call him silly? Don't you call your car Darlin' every morning? She laughs. I suppose I do. That Darlin' and Homer would make a lovely couple, don't you think? Homer could say he looked for Darlin' his whole life. I expect her to laugh at my joke, but she looks sad. Shaking her head, she begins to make tea. Oh, how I miss that man, she tells me. Remember how happy he'd be on stormy Sunday nights in the summer? Yes. He'd call them Treasure Trove Mondays because tourists had been dropping things on the beach all weekend. Remember the diamond ring, I asked her? He actually danced on Corporation Beach. Yes, he did. And then he found that sign for a lost ring. Oh, that girl was so happy to get it back. I smile, thinking about going with him to meet the girl. Watching a complete stranger throw her arms around Papa Joseph, it was also the first time I saw anyone cry, really cry, from being just plain happy. I've been thinking about Papa's treasures, actually, Grammy says. Those half-cent coins he found in Concord must be worth something, and his pocket watch would be worth a lot. It might be time to visit the dealer again, she sighs. Grammy, we can't sell Papa's things. Delcy, I know, I do. But the watch alone would fix all the problems with that car. And that old furnace. It may be hot today, but the wind will howl on the Cape before we know it. We'll need heat without soot. I'd rather be cold. Her shoulders droop. To be honest, Delcy, having his stuff around just stirs things up for me. Reminds me of what... where was I? Of what I've lost. Then she comes over and places her hand on my face. Thank the Lord I have you. But Grammy, baby, we need the money. And now Henry tells me the roof will need work too. She looks weary. I know she's right about the money, but I feel differently about things. Thinking back to our metal detecting days, I get an idea of how to keep Papa's stuff safe. And I know that it's wrong, but the need to hold on to the little pieces I have left of the people I love is overwhelming. Once Grammy leaves for work, I run up the stairs and get the strong shoulder jar I got at the tag sale and unscrew the top. I line it with toilet paper to make a cushion on the bottom. I go into Papa's drawer and pick up the box where he kept his treasures. He called them memory shakers, things that reminded him of good times. I go through the box and find Papa's sterling silver pocket watch and rub the figure of the fisherman standing in a rowboat. He's got an Irish cap just like Papa wore. The chain attached swings back and forth. I push the button, and the lid pops open. It's still running. I swallow hard, thinking of the millions of times he opened that watch to check the tides. Gently, I place the watch in the jar. I search the box for more treasures and find the round piece of white metal that Papa thought were musket balls and 2 British half-cents from Concord. There is a pirate's coin from Pirate's Cove, the big mini golf place on 28. I'm pretty sure this is mine, so I slip it in my pocket. I smile, thinking this memory shaker must be about me. There are some pens from General Electric because Papa's father worked there with Olive's father. They were friends, so Papa knew Olive his whole life. There's a strong shoulder mason jar, but it's only about 3 inches tall. Not much use for drinking tea. Jelly, maybe? Except the lid has a slot in it. I think it's a bank for coins. A keychain that says Dotson on it. I wonder what that is. I try to think of if I've ever heard of Dotson, Massachusetts. There are 2 little discs about the size of checkers. One says the whale and one says the ship. I love them. They have ridges on the sides like quarters do. There's a scrimshaw knife with an etching of a great white and a message in a bottle and its stomach on it. I wonder where he got it. I wish I could ask him. I find the lures that Papa made from old spoons and pieces of wood. I recognize the multicolored fish with the crooked eye. It was his first lure. He used to say this was the beginning of my acquisition of great wealth. And then he'd lean back laughing. He'd pull me close. He'd kiss the top of my head and say, I don't have a lot of digits in my bank account, but I'm a wealthy man indeed. Grammy is right. Holding his things makes me ache with the missings of him. And I understand what she meant about being sad when she sees them, but I feel more than that. The memories make me happy, too. I like thinking about him, and I'm happy he was my papa. The happy and sad are like two hands clasped together. I wish I could share these feelings with Grammy. I add Papa's knife and the coins to the jar, and when I go to put the box back in his dresser, I find another box. Wondering what it is, I slide it out. Written on top in Grammy's swirly handwriting is "My Melly." I gasp a bit and slowly lift the lid, feeling like she might step out of it. There's a necklace made of tiny stones in all different colors. It's so beautiful that I wonder why she didn't take it with her. But then there are lots of things she should have taken with her. I'm surprised to find a ticket from a Mariah Carey concert. My mom wrote "We Belong Together" in blue pen across the top. I wonder who she was thinking about when she wrote that. And then there are two rings. The first is a small ring with a little stone on top. It's beautiful. I slip it on my finger and admire it. I'd like to keep it, but Grammy would see. It can't be a diamond. If there were any diamonds around here, I'd know it. The other ring has a whale that wraps around your finger. I love it, too. There's a collection of root beer bottle caps. I guess she did like root beer like Grammy and me. I place her things in the jar and fill the rest of it with toilet paper and screw on the lid extra tight. Then I carry it out to Papa's shed and find his shovel. I find a patch with as few dandelions as I can and skim the grass with the shovel, carefully removing a sheet of dirt and sand and grass. Then I start digging a hole. When it's finished, I hold the jar one last time. I look down at the things Papa loved and the hole he's left by being gone so deep and wide. I can't find a way up and out. I remember how he always smelled like coffee, and he leaned forward and listened to every word when I told him a story. Missing him makes me sad, but at least there are lots of good memories, too. With my mom, it is different. Having to wonder what I've missed with her is a whole other kind of empty. I place the jar in the hole and fill it around the edges with dirt. Then I cover the rest and replace the patch of long grass and dandelions. Walking back to the shed, I notice Henry has his snow shovel out. It's leaning against the front of the house like it does every summer, a reminder of colder, harsher times. He says it's good to remember the hard times in the middle of the good ones. Never take anything for granted. Before Papa died, I thought that was dumb. Not anymore.